Hi, this is Kamera. My first few minutes with God, day number 230, Jeremiah chapter 38 through chapter 40, Psalm 74 and Psalm 79. The officials of Jerusalem, they went to King Zedekiah complaining about Jeremiah, requesting that he be put to death. Why? Well, Jeremiah was going around telling the people that the city was going to be handed over to Babylon, and anyone who surrenders to the Babylonians, they will live. Those who do not and refuse, they will die. And the officials felt that that was messing up the morale for the ones who were left to fight for Jerusalem. King Zedekiah tells the official, go ahead, do whatever you want, because he knew, he said, just like he told them, you're going to do what you want anyway. Anyway, they placed Jeremiah in this deep cistern that was dried, but it was thick with mud. Yeah, no food, no water. So then you have this Ethiopian. He hears about what they had done to Jeremiah. His name is Ebed Melech. He goes to King Zedekiah and said, do you realize this evil they did to Jeremiah? And so he tells the king what they did to Jeremiah. King tells Obed Melech to take 30 men with him, go and get Jeremiah. And that is what they did. They digged him out of that cistern. He would have died of either thirst or hunger or what have you. And so they placed Jeremiah in the palace prison where he stayed. I'm thinking honestly that was the best place for Jeremiah to be at this time, in jail, but in a safe, good, protected jail, which happens to be the palace jail. It's better than being free at this time. With what was going on with the Jerusalem and Babylon, yes. So King Zedekiah, he sends for Jeremiah, and he tells Jeremiah to tell him the truth. And so Jeremiah says, he replies to him, he says, if I tell you the truth, you're going to have me killed. If I give you advice, you're not going to listen. And so Zedekiah, he promises not to kill Jeremiah, neither send him to men who will kill him. And so Jeremiah tells him, he says, if you surrender, because the city's going to be taken. If you surrender, you and your family, you will live. You will live. Yes, the city will not be burned down. But if you refuse, then you will not escape. The city will be burned down. So Zedekiah talked about how afraid he was. Jeremiah reassures him and tells him that he will be okay if he surrenders. So Zedekiah tells Jeremiah to keep their conversation a secret. And if anyone asks what they talk about where he was going to send Jeremiah, that he begged the king to send him to the palace prison, not to the dungeons. And so, he placed Jeremiah back into the palace prisons, and Jeremiah remained in prison until Jerusalem was overtaken and captured by the Babylonians. I'm telling you, I believe the prison was safer for him during this time. Zedekiah's officers, 2 years later, Babylonians, they overtake the city. Zedekiah and his officials, they secretly tried to escape. The Babylonians, they chased after them, and it didn't go well with Zedekiah. Once they captured him, they pronounced judgment on King Zedekiah. Zedekiah had to watch his sons be slaughtered. The nobles of Judah, they were slaughtered. Zedekiah's eyes were gouged out. Then he was bound and he was led in chains to Babylon. So the Babylonians, they did burn down Jerusalem. They burned the royal palace, the houses that the people lived in. They tore down the city walls. They exiled some of the Babylonians, and some of those who surrendered or deflected, they took them into exile as well. But everyone who remained in Jerusalem, yeah, there were some who remained in Jerusalem. Jerusalem, like the poorest of them, they were allowed to stay behind, and they were assigned duties to care for the vineyard and the fields. Nebuchadnezzar had Nebuzaradan, his chief captain of the guards, to find Jeremiah. And you know where they found Jeremiah? They found Jeremiah imprisoned, bound, and in chains. Yeah. And so once they found Jeremiah, they released him. The king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, wanted to make sure Jeremiah was safe. He was well. And so once they removed Jeremiah from that prison, they put him in care of Gedaliah. Gedaliah was appointed the new governor of Judah. And so God, while Jeremiah was in prison, God gave Jeremiah a message for that Ethiopian, Ebed-Melech, the Ethiopian, and told him that because he trusted God, that God was going to reward him with his life, and that he was going to be safe throughout that disaster that was on Judah and Jerusalem. Isn't that something? Rewarded his life, and he will be safe. Isn't that something? And so he trusted God. Just because he trusted God. When Jeremiah was freed from prison, Nebuzaradan gave him his freedom to go wherever he wanted throughout the land. He had freedom to go wherever, or he can go to Babylon either way. Isn't that something? And he said that if he goes to Judah, the governor Gedaliah will make sure that he is well taken care of. So they gave him this chief guard. He gave Jeremiah money and food and let him go free. Just let him go free. Jeremiah decided to stay in Judah with Gedaliah and the remaining people in Jerusalem. Gedaliah, again, he was appointed the governor of Judah. And fast forward, he was warned that people were plotting to assassinate him. Yeah. The thing is, the person, Johanan, who told him about this, he even volunteered to go and kill that assassin. Gedaliah, he refused that. He was all about peace. He refused. He didn't believe Ishmael was going to kill him. So then we're taken to Psalms chapter 74. Psalm chapter 74, I'm just going to read a few of the verses. Oh God, why have you rejected us for so long? Why is your anger so intense against your own sheep? Remember, you chose us as your own long ago. Remember your covenant promises. Arise, oh God, defend your cause. Don't overlook your enemies. Now, these are the same people who overlooked God, these same people who were God's chosen, but they became God's enemies, and now they're crying out and telling God not to let those enemies overtake him. Psalm 79. Oh Lord, pagan nations have conquered your land, your special possession, and defiled your holy temple and made Jerusalem a heap of ruins. Help us, save us, forgive us our sins. Now, don't forget that these same people are calling out to God. They were the ones who also defiled God's possession, but now and his holy temple. And now they're calling out to God about these other people who are doing it. Keep that in mind. But there you have it, guys. That's day number 230. Jeremiah chapter 38 through 40, Psalm 74, and Psalms 7 to 9. You have a God-filled blessed day.